they have a private entity that is supervised, because they have a management, supervised by a supervisory board, appointed again by this very same management and ownership. And then the tricky part is that Enya as an insurance and a bank, could have a banking division as well. At that time it was bank umbrella.
No longer?
No, they sold it off.
Okay.
Again, that's also a separate story, because the owner is claiming that they are selling off his jewels. They tried to sell off Mullet Bay as well, and he tried to put a stop to that, because he's saying, they're selling off his assets. So, that is where we get these fundamental issues in court, and that's why you see the court ruling now. The judge took a step back and said, hey, we have a fundamental problem here. So we have to first look into that. But we'll come to that just now. Where we as a country, both St. Martin and Curaçao, come into play is because our central bank, our joint central bank, has a role in this whole process.
Yes.
They have to oversee Enya.
Exactly.
As a central bank, you get from the central bank our license, a banking license, an insurance license, and the central bank have to oversee that things are done properly and the right way. That is where you get ticklish. And that is where Holland, basically, as our main kingdom partner, who is willing to bail out the Enya situation by providing the money, because we're talking over $1 billion guilders that is basically missing. And if this money is not put back into the company, eventually these 30,000 pension holders will feel the effects of that, because their payouts will no longer be guaranteed. As a matter of fact, to make sure that over a period of years that pension has to be paid out, they will have to start cutting into those pensions. Presently, they expect that they will cost about 20% of the pension fund that would have been cut out. That is at today's prices, but we have inflation, we have costs going up, we have costs all around the world going up. So eventually that will probably drop down to 40%, 60%, and then eventually that money is wiped out. So that money has to be replaced. There are court proceedings in place to try and get that money back from the owner and his cohorts, as they call it. To get 1.1 billion guilders back is a humongous legal challenge. The court has condemned him basically to pay, let's say, around 150 million dollars. But that's just a drop in the bucket compared to the total amount. So that is the only part that they could have legally assigned to him as money they can claw back. The rest is based on the discussion whether the Mullet Bay asset that is owned by Enya has the proper valuation. And this is where it gets tricky.
I heard it was inflated.
Yes, of course. That was the whole point, how they managed to siphon off so much money out of Enya, because they inflated the value of Mullet Bay. But the value of Mullet Bay is basically, like the Dutch saying goes, what a gek voor geef. What a crazy person would pay for it. If, for instance, indeed, they were lucky enough that somebody who in nothing he right mind but has the money come in and say, hey, I want to buy Mullet Bay from you, and here's $500 million, there will be nothing, there will be absolutely no problem. That is why it's tricky, because one appraiser say it's only worth 50 million, another say it's only worth 75 million, and then the one that got paid, they say it's worth 300, 400, 500 million dollars. Who right? Who is right? That is why the judge said, no. After the negotiation tables with that discussion, bring in at least 2 experts, independent experts.
There you go.
And let them give us
independent appraisers.
Independent appraisals as to the valuation of Mullet Bay. And then we take it from there. But you and I know, in this day and age, with all going on down Malawi and all going on around the world, in the Caribbean as well, but all around the world in particular, you know there's no one in his right mind is going to come in and say Malawi is worth $500 million. No one. Even if they expect down the road sometime, some way, somehow, that could be possible. At this stage, they would never say that. Nobody's going to ever put their signature on that document saying that Malawi is worth that kind of money. So they're
Especially
gonna
in the
take
condition it's in right now.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. So they're going to take a and conservatively, if you say 75 million, 90 million, 90 million is pushing
The
it.
most, yeah.
You're lucky. And with that valuation, that comes nowhere close to the billion guilders that is missing. That was all based on Malawi $500 million valuation. So there's no way, no how, no independent is worth that money. So that will give the judges, in this case, because appeal good, that will give them, the legal basis to say, hey, indeed, you are now rightfully responsible and liable for that amount.
My mom is now, listen, she would kill me for saying she is now 77, but when we saw the deterioration in her, she was actually probably 60, I think. Also, doing some research, what we've also found out, and this is prevalent in a lot of women, we have a lot of bladder infections that are left untreated. And when you reach a certain age, and you don't feel the burning anymore, you don't feel the tendency that you may have something, infections and inflammations in the body left untreated, it's also one of the things that can trigger dementia. So we have to, again, it starts with us taking care of our bodies. And when we do blood work, this is something that now I say all the time, not only to women of, I'm now premenopause, and I'm like, what? But women of our age, in the 40s and up, but even in young women, when you go to do blood work, doctors have the habit, and I'm not knocking doctors, but they have a habit of when you do blood work and something is a little off, your borderline, no. If it's bold, that means something is off. And it needs to be treated, we need to take care of it, and but we need to take care of our bodies. I think that's the first thing, and it doesn't start when you're 50, 60, it starts even with our young people. We need to start taking better care of our bodies. Young people right now are just wear and tearing their bodies, they're not resting well, they're drinking, they're smoking weed, and doing all kinds of things with their bodies, but these are all, leading up to the numbers that are rising.
Actually, the dementia is not synonymous of elderly age, but usually can start from the normal average age to start is from 60, 65, 70. As older you are, more probably get dementia, because it's an exponential progression. So as by the age of 65 years old, for example, 6% of the population may have dementia, but every 5 years you double the incidence. So at 70 it's 12%, and at 75 it's 24, no? And at 90 years old, 50% of population have dementia. But it doesn't mean that it has to start at this elderly age. Can start from 40 or 50 years old. Younger than 40 is very, very, very unlikely unless there is a very uncommon hereditary condition that is the less of the times. So it's not, but from 50, the first symptoms can start from 50 and can be not rare. But then there are other conditions different from the Alzheimer that also other kind of neurodegenerative diseases that can start before 50s, and also the other condition that is very prevalent, more than even the Alzheimer, that is the vascular dementia, that sometimes cannot be clearly differentiated for the degenerative one, that is the Alzheimer. Of course, the vascular dementia can start at a younger age, because if you have vascular risk factors, hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, smoking, etc., not treated, then of course, after some strokes, or even without strokes, you can start with a cognitive decline. So yes, it's not always related to the age.
Mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
Social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social and health insurances.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emil Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welgelaken Road K-Hill from Welgelaken Road Roundabout until the One Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Kupokoi from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Also, the Member of Parliament felt that it was misleading to state that the number of businesses in the presentation includes the nightlife sector. It could include others. No, that is actually not the case, because the 789 businesses that I referred to in the presentation are indeed all bars and nightclubs that open past midnight. That was a question that was posed actually to her when she was Minister of TIAT. So the 789 businesses I refer to are indeed the number of businesses that apply for such a license, and 30% of them, the 30% are the ones that are allowed to open past midnight. And I think we're almost done. MP William Marlin also commented about the point regarding last call for alcohol, which I did mention earlier. I did try in my original draft to do so, but that is an example of where I do heed the advice as much as possible of the Council of Advice. It is indeed something there where you kind of have an idea as a member of parliament, you want to put something in law, but unfortunately it doesn't work out. Well, it's not to just have tunnel vision and say, well, I'm going to do it anyway. It was to say, no, we would leave that part out. And then there was an additional question from MP Westcott Williams about that the legislation already, some of the things that I had in the original draft of the law, some of those things the law already allows for. And I think the Member of Parliament is absolutely correct. For example, one of the things I had in the original legislation was to allow, in the event of hurricanes and so on, to be able to close businesses, but actually, indeed, I believe it's Article 25 or 27. Sorry that I don't have that right in front of me. But that was an example of where it is already something that is allowed within the law. So my response to that was to remove it. So that aspect within the law was removed. As a general comment, the version that is being debated by the members of parliament today is much different than the original law. Now again, thanks to the comments from the members of parliament, I have now committed to making some additional changes because in the initiative process, this is not my law, this will be parliament's law, and I take the comments, questions, and concerns of the members of parliament very seriously. I want to sincerely thank those members that have pointed out those suggestions, such as the 3 a.m. as opposed to 5 a.m., such as the facade of the building. All of these different suggestions, the technical amendments have been very well received, and I will be, before the public meeting, implementing those changes. So if there are further questions, concerns, or anything else I can do to make this legislation more in line with what the members of parliament believe would best serve the people of St. Martin, I am absolutely open to that, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question that was actually posed by a restaurant owner who asked the question, what happens with restaurants who already are able to open past midnight, with this legislation? Because if you put a cap, they're concerned because they already are able to open until 4 in the AM hours. So they would like to know what is the intention by putting a cap if they already have a license that has been granted that allows them to stay open past a certain hour.
If the MP believes that maybe as this legislation continues to evolve, there should be a separation made between fully indoor, fully outdoor, and hybrid establishments. Because I want to stress on that point that, there are those that have tested their limit in the past with whether they were permitted or not to open past opening hours. At some point in time, we have to, I think, as a people say, okay, if you're fully outdoor, maybe you shouldn't even be open till 3 a.m. In most countries, you're not allowed to. Even in the Netherlands, if there was an outdoor party happening, there is a cap for when that has to stop. Even Pride, at a certain point in time, you have to cut the music. I think by even like 9 p.m. And if fully indoor, you can keep the party going. But if you are outdoor, a hybrid establishment, your outdoor section has to be closed, and then you can only have the party indoors, which then changes, of course, the capacity, the amount of people you can let in, etc. So just if the MP could just share his thoughts on that particular question. Thank you.
But my answer to the question was, and that was a question both by MP De Wever and MP Gums, that restaurants playing music, so-called becoming clubs. In my view, if you term it restaurants becoming clubs, well, then of course I would say no. But restaurants providing entertainment past their hours or kind of changing the format of their business, what I will say is I understand why. They are trying to compete. They are trying to be able to remain attractive. They are trying to get that extra table at the 10, 11, 12 o'clock. And one of the things that pulls those people is the entertainment aspect. So I as my solution to that would be, fine if you want to provide that entertainment, but here's a national decree that says if you're going to do that and you start pounding music too loud and you're disturbing your surroundings, you're going to get a warning, you're going to get a fine, you're going to get closed down. So I don't want to stunt the growth of the industry that is transitioning to that, where people are starting, more restaurants indeed are have their ladies' night and this weekend or maybe even every night starting to offer such a product. In my personal opinion, I don't think we should stunt it. I think we should control it.
The Minister of Justice, we've heard in the past of the Chief of Police expressing his desire to see or achieving a 5-star police force. Is that any closer to realizing? And can you provide some information, if you may, as to the capacity of the police force at this time?
I would have to speak to Chief John a little bit about that vision. Maybe it was something before my tenure. I know that there are efforts to be able to, and there's always trainings going on to be able to improve the police force. In terms of our capacity, we are still functioning how we were about a year ago because the ability to hire has been halted with the budget challenges that we've had. So I know that we have an obligation, even with our, how we call that now, the project plans. We have to grow at a certain number on an annual basis. That has been stagnated for the last couple of years, but the efforts to be able to ensure revenue is generated to suffice what we have to, the quota that we have to meet in terms of our police force is still a high and top priority. So we're trying our best to be able to do that. But I would gain more information from Chief John for you, and hopefully in the next press briefing, I'll be able to advise.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
With you, the new Kentaco. A combination that will surprise the most curious palates. Combining the deliciousness of KFC chicken and the practicality of a taco. With a doubly delicious ergonomic shape. Wow! Compatible with all types of bites. New Kentaco. Enjoy a double breaded chicken breast with our secret recipe. Cheese, lettuce, and tomato. New Kentaco, the innovation that's in everyone's mouth.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
I am pleased to announce that as of this month, September, the new salary structure approved by the Cabinet will come into effect. Under the new structure, salaries for employees at all levels will be increased, with the exception of level 1, which remains unchanged. This means that just over 2,940 public officers will benefit from the new salary structure in the first phase, resulting in an overall increase of 6%, with some public officers benefiting from up to 13% increase in salaries.
This decision will result in an increase in government's wage bill by an estimated $9 million annually.
So the question of who will benefit as of this September by this new measure, we are talking about many of our essential service providers, our teachers and principals, public police officers, fire officers, doctors, nurses, environmental health officers, and others who serve on the front line of the public sector, providing key services to members of the public at critical times. And so I am pleased to announce that from this month end, these public officers and their families will be better off and better able to take care of their commitments.
The minister said there are hazards in all workplaces, and his ministry is committed to ensuring that workers are protected. He said safety committees must be functioning in organizations.
Workers must be participant in all safety and health exercises, because it is workers who will suffer when there are accidents, or if there are accidents. And so the participation of workers in safety and health committees is vitally important. The Act calls where the size of the organization allows for equal representation. I'm calling on workers to ensure that these safety and health committees work. So even if there is no safety and health committee in your organization, you have to agitate, because it is the law.
The minister also drew attention to changes in the safety laws and gave details.
We amended the workstation regulation very recently. In the initial regulation, only registered medical practitioners could do examinations. What that meant was that for eye examinations, only ophthalmologists, so medical doctors who specialize with the eyes, could do those examinations. But many of those who wear spectacles, glasses, also go to optometrists who are qualified and able to do those. And as we always do as a government, if we can make an improvement in a piece of legislation or in a regulation, we do it.
Plant manager at Banks Holdings Limited, Sissy Gillette, in her remarks, spoke of the company's safety measures and outlined its record to date.
Our sister manufacturing plant in the Pine, affectionately Pine Hill Dairy, has just recently passed 2 years without an LTI. Here at the brewery, in less than 1 month, we, Banks Brewery, the home of the best beers in Barbados, will register 5 years without a lost time injury.
Forklift operations and transportation got the attention of the participants during the day-long exercise. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.